Lake Forest podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.
Howdy, partner.
Where are you at?
Big Sky. Big Pete and Big Sky.
Doesn't look like Granby.
Or Oakwood. How is Oakwood?
Oakwood is just the same old, you know?
Should we put one of those checkered flags at the end of your block?
Yeah. Believe me, I had the other day one of our finest blitzing down the street.
Oh, really? He was late for his Starbucks?
He was late for Starbucks.
Come on, that's not cool, Skoo.
Right.
Have you got any more corrections about your thoughts on the police station and all that other stuff?
Do I have any thoughts?
Has anybody given you any thoughts or communications or anything?
Oh, God, yeah. I've had numerous people feel the same way. Waste of money.
Oh, really?
Oh,
interesting.
God, yeah.
So
no need.
We're just waiting here, and I'm curious, like, part of the problem is you can't build up there, or there hasn't been a study to see if you can build up. I thought there was a study. What's the issue, Skoo?
My understanding is they just decided listen, it was it was decided by certain people that's what was going to happen, whether there's a study or not.
Okay.
I don't believe there was a engineer study of, let's see what we can do to add on. I think people just said, no, you're by the swamp. You can't do that, which doesn't make sense. But
all right.
But they're gonna. I heard, several tens of millions of dollars are going to be invested in redoing that building for the fire department. So, I mean,
well,
I get it. They're crammed, but put a second story on there. And do you really need, comfort rooms for Lake County to use? I mean, let's be honest. This is being
wait.
built.
What's a comfort room? What the hell is that?
Well, you know what they are. I mean, to
cry.
Well, no, for they're going to hire and let Lake County use it for not criminals, but I don't know the whole.
Like social stuff, like
Yeah,
social service.
yeah,
Okay, all
social,
right, okay,
yeah.
got
Like
all right.
it's like why,
Yeah.
the gun range, they want to build a gun range so other communities can use it. It doesn't make sense. It just, we're not,
Why don't
why are we spending the money so other people can use it?
Skoo, let me just ask this question because I'm
Yeah.
just out here in the mountains and the
Because
oxygen's a
you're in the
little
mountains
thin.
and you're not really in tune with what's going on in Lake Forest.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel
Shoot,
like
Pete.
I feel like Dan Proft. But can't the police pay some money to that North Shore Sports Club, that gun range there? That's in Lake Forest,
That was one
no?
of my suggestions. Why, it's a beautiful gun range. Why not, charge them to, go on their own, during work or whatever it is when they go practice to go to that
Yeah,
range. But the range at Lake Forest is usable.
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, what the police department is usable. And, do you need a state of the art one to practice? I mean, I don't know.
Well, you got good burgers there.
Real good. I heard I haven't been there. We
I
went
have
there. Pam and I went there one day just to try it out, and it was closed. But I heard nothing but great stuff food wise there. It's a
I
cool joint.
bought I bought the headphones to protect the. I wasn't going to do it, but I said, all right, I'll pay up for it. So put the big old black
Right.
headphones on and went with my nephew, and I let him choose the guns. Sure enough, there's 45, Dirty Harry, and
I thought
I'm
when we went in there that one time, I'm like,
yeah
holy crap! Look at all these. Like, you can just shoot
yeah.
these, and like, they're like, oh, yep, you gotta have a license and all. I'm like, I'm out. I don't have that.
Well, I got the Floyd, but I don't have the concealed carry because to me, I my personal belief is have a shotgun. It's the easiest thing to use and it's self-defense. But whatever, that's just me. But going to that range, I mean, that was pretty. I've never done a 45. I've done shotguns before, but you rent the gun. Sometimes they rent them for free, but where they get you is the ammo. Holy crap!
Yeah, I heard ammo. I'm not a gun guy, believe it or not. But can't believe how expensive ammo is.
I mean, I think it's like 50 for the gun rental and 50 for the ammo,
Right.
hundo. Um, 40 for the headphones, but and you got to buy the targets.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and
I think it's an expensive
yeah,
little
and
day out type of thing.
hobby.
Yeah.
More expensive than doing a podcast. Oh wait, no, it's not.
So is it just the old school podcast today?
Let's see. I think we'll have Jeff and Joe.
No, Joe just texts he's not made
Oh,
up.
oh,
We're not
okay.
talking politics, so he can't make it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Well, I'm sure Jeff will hang out with us. It's just guys showing up at the bar. That's what this
Yeah.
podcast is. It's a online public house. So Lake Forest Day.
Lake Forest Day? Yeah, it was Lake Forest Day. I mean, it was great. I mean, I'm too biased of the greatest day
Yeah,
of the year, but you
nobody
know.
picks up on that either. But did you do the popcorn out front? Like,
No, no popcorn. It was kind of a quick parade. It was a nice parade, but it was quick. Went Tuesday night, saw a bunch of people, beer tent
yeah.
and all that. It's okay. I mean, the new structure they had was okay. I mean, I'm a traditionalist, so I like the
Oh,
beer
okay.
garden, and
So you're
you
coming
know,
down from that.
I like feeling like you're in jail, and so. But it was okay. It was crowded. I mean, that's the only, I think the downside is the bands crunched in there and good bands. You missed some
Well,
good bands. I know you're a
well,
music guy, but there are some good
well,
young bands and some, both nights they were. So it
yeah,
was good. Wednesday night Tuesday was nice because now you're sitting they got you under these trees and bugs could be but
yeah,
Tuesday there's a nice breeze coming through. So it was nice. But Wednesday, whew, the
yeah.
bugs were out. I mean, I think it's
Any
overwhelmed. Like you had to
any
walk around.
suggestions for next year?
Yeah, tennis courts.
Okay.
Tennis courts or across the street from the tennis courts where it's a little more open. just too congested when you get. I mean, they crammed everything in there, but
Was the parking better? That was always a interesting endeavor.
I never have seen it an issue. I mean, when you got the entire town to park in, the parking spots there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I didn't. It was okay. I mean, it was. I think it takes away. When I was growing up, Tuesday night was. It was free. It wasn't. It was test night, so you got the
Uh-huh.
you got the crew setting up the rides in the day, and then it was like, come on out and test the rides for them. So they put you on the zipper for like 20 minutes. It's like, okay, it
Test
worked.
humans.
But then they gravitated to half night, and that really kind of took away from the essence of Wednesday.
Yeah.
But so you have half night rides and all that. So, the bulk of the community goes Tuesday night with the kids. If it's $7 a ride, so you get it for 350. And now I think they have just a pass you can do. But Wednesday was okay, good crowd. They're both good crowds. It was nice. It was a good Lake Forest day.
So shout out positive vibes to the Legions and
Legion
City
did
Lake
great. I
Forest.
feel bad for them. They got a lot of their revenue snagged away from them, but
What happened? Oh, because of the beer jail?
well, the food, the food and hot dogs, they were always the ones doing it, and that's
Wait,
gone. And
I thought you could, I thought you couldn't take money away from the Legion, Skoo.
evidently you could.
All
They sure did.
right.
But I feel bad for them. But it's hard with the Legion. I mean, that's a supposedly a dying thing, but there's still. I think it's the more the younger vets don't
Right.
join because they got their other life going on and all that. But who knows?
Well, I got to put more video games in there. So,
Maybe the city can funnel some of that money from the Friends Board to the Legion so they can fund their scholarships and all that they offer. But I don't know.
I was going to ask Jeff, what's your take on only like three businesses getting that money from Deerpath, the Deerpath funds?
I think it's a good move. I think it's a little too late. I think they should have done that up
But
front.
from the businesses, there's only three that took advantage of it.
Yeah, I
It's
don't,
like
that's
it's not
that's
worth the
that's kind
time for
of
the paperwork, or
I think that's probably what it is. I think maybe it's a little frustration too.
yeah,
Like, I mean, here's the thing. When that whole strip there, you're paying, I think we talked about last thing. I mean, you're paying 5,000-6,000 a month in rent, if not more.
yeah.
I mean, here's 4 grand. So I don't know.
All right, fair enough. And we're sitting here in the bar on Oakwood Avenue, having a couple suds.
He's
Stu and I
coming.
were talking about North Shore movies, which Stu and I have done our movie reviews of movies in the North Shore. And Stu, you had an idea for a guest. Could you
Yeah.
set the table for us?
Yeah. I mean, John, I know, I've known him for a couple months, and we had a nice chat and all this, and found out through our meeting that John owned the Home Alone house when it was filmed there. And he took me through some wonderful stories about the house and the filming. And John lives in Lake Forest, and I just thought it would be great. He has a book coming out about his stories of the Home Alone house. And I thought it'd be a great idea to have him on. He's a Lake Forester, as well as it ties in some of his stories with other Lake Forester, the Hughes family, that has
Yeah.
donated quite a bit of money to the city, particularly the rec center and all that. And what a great mesh of having John on to talk about that, and a little deviating from our normal
Uh,
podcast, going back
Crud.
to the old days of bringing people in from Lake Forest and talking about what they're doing. And John's a great guy, and he has some really great stories. He was on, I think it was NBC a couple weeks ago,
Yeah, somebody just told me I
five
saw him on the
o'clock.
news.
And
Yeah.
but like I said, he's got his book coming out, and John Abendshien is a great person, and thought it would be great to have him on.
Well, he's got a couple other books out there on healthcare,
Right.
and one I think was, "Do you really need a board of directors at a company?" No. Oh wait, hold on. We
Now
got Jeff.
we got to pull back and get back into the 80s and the Home Alone, which was one of my favorite movies and still is. But
Oh man, Stu, we need you to go like this.
who? Oh, yeah. Let Urso do it.
What would I do?
Give us
Ah!
give us the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone.
Oh man, no way.
So Jeff, John is in the green room eating the M&Ms right now, and oh, he's done. He's had his fill. Skoo, who's this young fellow that just popped up in the bar?
John
Hey
Abendshien,
guys,
welcome
hey
to the Lake
Skoo.
Forest podcast.
Yeah,
Got you on there. We're just talking. John is a Lake Forester and met John a few months ago and having some conversations and kind of digging into who he is and all that and find out that he is the owner or the original owner, no longer, of the Home Alone house from the movie days. And it has some great stories. He has a book coming out about that. And I thought, what a great idea to have John on and talk about that. And it's perfect timing with his book release. And, so John Abendshien, I told my wife he's Mr. Home Alone. So welcome to the podcast.
hey, thanks Skoo. And just to clarify, I am not literally home alone. I have live here in Lake Forest with my lovely wife Nancy and two kitties, one of whom will probably be joining us. She usually joins me for Zoom calls. So, but anyway, it's a delight to be here and join the podcast. So.
Well, John, you got more than one book. Let's go back to the first one I saw. Do you really need a corporate board?
Okay, just a bit of history here.
Yeah, go ahead.
As you've probably surmised, I have no personal connections to Hollywood other than my fluky connection with Hughes Entertainment. But my background is in the healthcare profession. I've done that my whole career. I've been involved in developing strategy and developing blueprints basically for healthcare systems throughout the country. And locally, I was pretty much the architect of what is now the Advocate Health System that came from my whiteboard many years ago back in the late 80s, and also have been involved in some other very high profile health systems, the Cleveland Clinic Health Network and Loma Linda University out in the West Coast and the Advent Group down in Florida. So it's been just a very rewarding career. But as I say, I'm not Hollywood, okay? And I've had the privilege of getting out a couple of books, that are specific to healthcare policy and planning. So
Okay, so on the healthcare side, then we'll get into Home Alone. I'm trying to push some product here, John. You don't mind, do you?
no, please go ahead.
So going forward, is just Amazon going to take over healthcare next, or what do you think? I didn't read your book. I saw the summary of it. What's your take? And we'll get on to Home Alone.
That's really a good question, and I think Amazon will certainly be an influence in healthcare, but they're part of what is going to be just a huge evolution of healthcare related to remote care, virtual care, and AI. We're just at the absolute cusp of what's ahead of us with AI. And to give you just an example of that, I have a colleague who some years back had the insight to start developing huge databases in conjunction with the Cleveland Clinic and with Blue Cross. And he acquired, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, millions of patient records, and was able, through his own technology and that of his staff, to basically filter through and see what types of treatment were the most effective and efficacious from a cost standpoint. What he did took several years, and now with AI, you can do that in practically nanoseconds. And what will happen is that we will see the evolution of protocols now, treatment protocols that will be accelerated beyond our belief. And it's, I don't hold myself out to be an expert in AI, and anyone who tells me they are, I'll say, no, you do have artificial intelligence then, because it's really going ahead so quickly that it's hard to even keep up with it. But yes, Amazon will be a player, but there are other players out there as well, and I think that it's going to be certainly quite a change in our healthcare delivery.
I don't want to get too crazy here, but do you see the influence of robots coming in for home health care for people that need it, for 30 grand for a robot to help somebody out in their kitchen? Do you think that's going to play a role?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We have, early stage products that are coming out, and no, absolutely, that will be part of our future.
Is everybody done with the boring stuff? Can we get to the fun stuff now?
I got one question.
Go ahead.
I'd love to pick someone's brain about this. So, I own restaurants and bars and stuff, and I've always wondered, why can't, the Illinois Restaurant Association or whatever, why can't there be a group so we could actually get, employees advantageous pricing, and, it's able to offer a lot more. Most of our staff is under 26, so most of them are on and stuff. But I've always wondered that, like, you ever see that in the future? Do you ever see a way where multiple businesses could connect in a group and get better pricing for a certain industry?
I think that's a good question. I think there is a role for that, and we have a bit of history with that going over the years with what they call ACOs, accountable care organizations, which are voluntary participants in basically health delivery programs that include an insurance component as well as the delivery component. The critical issue here, though, is critical mass. In order to really make this work, you need a substantial denominator in terms of number of employees in the system. But yes, I think that's a viable model.
Thank you.
In other words, if you were to do that, I don't think just a few North Shore restaurants would do it. I think you need.
Like I said, especially with our industry, that it's very young. So you think that base would be advantageous on a health care provider side.
Absolutely. Just as an interesting aside, I had the privilege of meeting Bruno the other day, and what a character! And he would be all in on this, I think. So
I'm sure you would.
Yeah,
as long as you got pants on.
All right. Shoot, then I'm screwed. So all right. Well, I'll throw one more healthcare because it's sort of like Forest centric. Is Walgreens, CVS, and getting back to Amazon. Is Walgreens in a little bit of trouble with that merger they did with Boots, and how is that going to play out into the future? And CVS did the right thing doing the managed care stuff. What's your thoughts, John?
Yes, as you know, Walgreens has recently been acquired, by a private equity group and Boots. So I think what they're probably doing right now is what I call a portfolio analysis. They're looking at each of the segments of business, and they're sorting through them to decide what they're going to keep, what they're going to toss, what they're going to ramp up. And, I think it's probably too early to tell. I have friends who are executives at Walgreens, and they did really well in the buyout, but I don't think they can predict any better than I can just what the future of Walgreens is going to be. And CVS, these mainline pharmacies, that business model is really on edge right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves.
All right, can everybody just go like this?
I've got it.
Okay, John, let's go back into time. What was it, 88, 89? Somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, I got $100 for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a bit of history here. My wife, now ex-wife, and I moved into what is now the Home Alone house in January of 89, okay? And Home Alone filming started in January of 1990. So, we were there a year before the filming started. And I asked people to try to put themselves into this frame of mind where you and your spouse or partner acquire what you think is your dream home, your forever home, and you move in, and in less than 2 years, that home is the centerpiece of a blockbuster movie. And furthermore, a movie that is seen all over the world and becomes iconic. And, fast forward 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 plus years later, and we're approaching the 35th anniversary this year of the film. And the house is even more famous than ever. And you've got people coming to see your home, what I call my dumb house, from all over the world nonstop. And, try to put yourself in that situation, that frame of mind. And if you have trouble doing that, join my club. I mean, seriously, even to this day, this is a very surreal kind of, experience for me. And did that really happen? Well, yes, it did. Because, it's not, as I said before, it's not like I had any inside connections to Hollywood or anything like that. It was just one of those serendipitous things. And, you think about the odds of that too. I mean, we know John Hughes did a lot of filming on the North Shore and a number of movies, you name it, Uncle Buck, Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Breakfast Club, and the list goes on. He grew up in Northbrook, so he had a real affinity for the North Shore. But even then, just what are the odds? I mean, there are over 50,000 homes in what we roughly define as the North Shore. So the odds of a particular home being selected are not exactly that high, So, it's a bit surreal.
Well, back in the day, it was a little bit later than that. I used to work over by Wrigley Field, and 1010 Waveland was a building that I helped work with. We had a scout come up to us. The reason I'm asking you is that this is what they did. A scout comes up and says, "Hey, we're doing what was that baseball movie with Tom Hanks in it?"
The girls' baseball.
Yeah. No, there's no crying in baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was at Wrigley, and the problem was it's supposed to be a period peacetime thing, and 1010 Waveland, you had all those air conditioners hanging out to the windows. So they said, "Hey, could you get those removed?" And I'm like, all right, $75 a pop. So you're negotiating on the spot to get something done like that. Is that how it happened with you? Or, how were you compensated? Or is that not public record?
Well, you got to buy the book. I mean, that will give you the whole background, but I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. And that is, it's an interesting story. And as I express it, it's a long story. Home Alone, as I mentioned, was filmed in 1990. But the thread of connections between us and Hughes Entertainment goes back to 1983, okay? 1983 is when my ex-wife and I moved to the little northwest corner of Evanston, okay? And we had no sooner moved in, and John Hughes started filming a movie right down the block from us, a little opus called 16 Candles. And you may remember that. It's the movie where Molly Ringwald's character, her 16th birthday gets totally overshadowed by her sister's wedding and all the family dynamics that go on. So my wife and I watched that being filmed. I mean, just summertime fare, going out watching the filming from the outside, and it was a lot of fun. Movie came out, we liked the movie, and so we thought, well, it was an interesting experience. And then several years later, 1988, we had a knock on the door, and it was a young lady by the name of Jackie Baker, now Jackie Bucksbaum, and Jackie was the location manager for Hughes Entertainment. And she said, we're about to film another movie, and Mr. Hughes really likes this neighborhood. And it is. It's a beautiful tree-lined neighborhood. It looks like it might have just stepped out of a Norman Rockwell painting. And so she said, your house has caught his eye, and it's several homes that we're looking at. Would you even consider having your home used for Uncle Buck? And at that time, we had just purchased the Winnetka home, and I was getting ready to put the Evanston home up on the market. So we declined on that. But in the process, they came up and looked at the Winnetka home, and they decided it wasn't right for Uncle Buck, and they wound up doing Uncle Buck just a couple blocks away from our home there in Evanston. And so anyway, that was that. Time passed. We moved into Winnetka home in early '89, and we weren't there all that long when there was another knock on the door, and it was Jackie again, this time with a young man she introduced as Chris Columbus. Well, I didn't know who Chris Columbus was. He wasn't exactly a Steven Spielberg luminary at that point. So we invited them in, and they explained that they were that Chris was working on a movie with Chevy Chase called National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and that they had a central site for that, but they were looking for other sites for various scenes, and our home had caught their eye. And we were in the midst of a lot of renovation at the time, so we had a nice, polite conversation, but we took a pass on that. Several months later, another knock on the door. Jackie and Chris again. This time, Chris had parted ways with Chevy Chase. I don't go into detail on this in the book, but it was not a friendly parting, okay? And Chris was working with John Hughes on another film called Home Alone. And Chris says, as the name implies, we need a home, So they asked if we would be interested. And we took for a tour of the home, and they gave us just a quick overview of the script. We liked the story. So, we said that we would potentially be interested. And then they came back with all the more of the detail, the potential terms and everything, and gave us more of the story. And I was, Chris handed me a copy of the script. And we thought it over, and after some back and forth, we decided to go ahead with it. And that was in late '89. Then I think November, December is when we actually signed the contract, and then the filming began in January, sort of. Now, let me tell you what happened in January of that year. Home Alone is 20th Century Fox, okay? And 20th Century Fox did very well with this movie. I mean, the budget was scrawny, even by 1990 standards. But the original contract was with Warner Brothers, okay? And we were only 2 or 3 weeks into the filming when Warner Brothers and John Hughes got into a little bit of a brouhaha about the budget. Hughes was asking for a $700,000 increase. And, that's like chump change in today's movie world. But anyway, Warner Brothers was quite skeptical about this potential success of this film, as I was too. And I'll get into that in the book. I read the script, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I reading here? But anyway, Warner Brothers bailed out at that point. So everything came to a screeching halt, and we thought, that's it. But then we were told by the executive producer, Scott Rosenfeld, Mark Radcliffe, that, hey, hang on, guys. They put it in turnaround, and we're negotiating with 20th Century. And sure enough, that's what happened. They picked it up. And the rest, as they say, is history.
You're like the original Airbnb for Hollywood. I love it. This is awesome.
Yeah. So, long story, but and then into the book, I get into all of the backstories of all the stuff that got screwed up, things that went wrong, and how improbable it was that this movie became the hit that it was. It's a fascinating history there. And as I will tell you, my perspective is not hearsay, anecdotal. I was there. Okay, we had a second floor master bedroom that was quite sizable. Yeah, it was a big master bedroom, then sitting room, fireplace, and blah blah blah, study. So we just created an apartment within the home. And we could do that because a lot of the interior shots were done, as you guys probably know, at the New Trier West High School was off duty at the time due to low enrollment. So they commandeered the gymnasium of New Trier West, and it was really kind of surreal. They built replicas of our rooms, a 3-story house, but they're all in one level. You could walk from one story to another, just walking across the room there. So across the gymnasium floor. But they did a lot of interior shots there simply because they couldn't, tight quarters in any home. They couldn't maneuver the cameras and the lighting and get it just right. But nonetheless, they did a lot of the filming at home. There was not any given day that they were not there in some capacity or another, and all the exterior shots were at the home. So, we lived through that for better or for worse. But it was an interesting experience.
Wasn't New Trier West Breakfast Club too?
I'm sorry?
Wasn't New Trier West?
I think so.
It's amazing that.
Yeah.
It was amazing. All the films you just rattled off are right in that area. And
exactly.
Cool. That's gone now, right? I mean, everything's. I mean, once I know we did Ocean's 13 in Lake Forest or 11 or whatever, but but that you really don't hear about it like everything you just rattled off. It's just that SNL crew and
right.
Awesome.
Was it worth the money?
Well, here's the interesting thing. We were paid, I think our original contract was $65K back then. It got upped a little bit because of a schedule overrun. But, in $1990, I mean, that's a chunk of change, okay? But it certainly wasn't anything we were going to get rich off of. And that wasn't really our motivation. I think we were more into the adventure of it all. Here's what I can't put a price tag on. In the aftermath of the release of the movie, and I get into this in some detail in the book, we started to see people coming to see that house nonstop. I thought, well, this will be, just a flash in the pan. It'll be that one Christmas season, and a lot of interest in it, but all over, and things would go back to normal. But no, I mean, we had nonstop visitors, people I referred to as Lookie-loos, going on and on. And I went through a personal journey there, I'll say, where I started to really resent the intrusion on privacy. And it was, it's like I couldn't take the garbage out to the curb without people, like paparazzi in a British tabloid taking my picture. And what's this all about? But there, I reach a kind of a zenith with that, a kind of a flip point where, and I get into it in the book, kind of how it happened. But I realized that, what I thought was starting to be a curse was actually a gift. And because I started to see the joy in people coming to see the house and sharing with them some of the backstories. And so, I really did an about turn on my mood state about the whole thing. And I decided, no, this is not something I have to live with. This is really kind of a gift in disguise. All I have to do is open it up and share it with people. And that's what I started to do. And I met the most fascinating people from all over the world. I had one day, I was looking out my study window, and then there was this Japanese gentleman, formal attire, with a limousine out front and driver, taking pictures from the curb. And I thought, well, this is interesting. So I went out and introduced myself. And I said, you don't have to take pictures down there. You can come up to the house, which he did. And this is before the days of smartphones, but so he's taking photos, and he says, well, can I get a photo of your family? So here we all are out in the front porch. Our little pooch Spunky is out there. And so as he's leaving, I asked for his card. He said he was just there on business that day. He had business in Chicago. And that he was a bachelor, and he'd seen the movie umpteen times. And so anyway, he gave me his card, which I looked at after he left. He was chairman of the Bank of Tokyo, okay? And I thought, oh my gosh, at one of the largest banks in the world, and the guy was, so I called one of my business partners in our Tokyo office, and I said, "You can't guess who was just on my doorstep." So we sent the gentleman, a nice thank you letter on firm letterhead, and wouldn't you know, we got a fair amount of business out of that bank down the road. So, small world. But I have a lot of stories like that of people from all over that, you ask them, "Why are you here? Why are you here to see a house, for Pete's sake?" And they kind of like to relive the movie, and I talk about the movie. So a long-winded answer to your question, but was it worth it? You know what? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
But
I have been well compensated, not dollar-wise, but just in the vibe of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
what a cool story. Thank you for sharing that. That is awesome.
John, what is your take on that? Because 35 years and the house is still, people are going by there taking pictures, and like you just rattled off all the different movies. Why is that house so iconic and people have to go see it and take pictures of it and all?
That is a wonderful question, and I wish I could give you a cogent answer to it, because to this day, but I can't quite, ascertain that. But I will say this. What they did, John Hughes, Chris Columbus, Julio Macat, the cinematographer, and John Muto, the production designer, who, by the way, became a very good personal friend, he and his wife, and we socialized with them long after the movie was over with. But what they did was bring that house to life. It becomes part of the movie. It becomes a character in the movie. And Chris Columbus has described the house as warm and menacing. Seems like a contradiction, but it is just that. And depending on the scenes, and you might recall the scene, Kevin's, Christmas Eve, and he's getting ready, for the onslaught, and John Williams' music is pumping away in the background. That the house takes on another character. It almost does look menacing, with the backlights and everything. And you really feel like the house is indeed a character in its own right. Unlike other John Hughes films, where he has nice settings like Uncle Buck, beautiful home, but they don't have the same vibe as the Home Alone house.
Particularly the boiler scene.
It's in just about every scene. I compare it to Breaking Bad, where they had the Breaking Bad house in Albuquerque is in almost every episode of that series, and you almost feel like it's your second home after a while. And the story is that people are still throwing pizzas up on the roof of that home.
It's just a picture perfect Christmas home. I mean, it is something like, Chevy Chase, I was 6 years old when that movie came out, and it's embedded in you, and every Christmas you watch it, and just and for me, the inside of the home is beautiful, but it's that outside picture perfect with the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
It's just what I imagine a Christmas home, like the perfection is. And I think a lot of people vicariously dream through that and look at that. And that's why they just love it so much.
Absolutely. And I will share this too. My wife and I, when we were scouting for homes, we had done some extensive looking, and that was back in a real estate boom. We'd already made offers on a couple of homes at full asking and had been outbidded. And when we pulled up to the curb in front of that house, I told my wife, I said, "That's our house," without even going inside. And sure enough, once we finally did get inside, it needed a ton of work, and it wasn't quite the sparkly jewel it looked like from the street, but it had that vibe, and we wanted that house. And I think somehow it has kind of an attraction to people that's hard to explain.
How was it selling the house? I can only imagine the home inspector, all the marbles that were found lodged.
Well, so much of the scenes that involve the structure of the house seemingly were done on the soundstage, and they did a fantastic job of undoing all the changes to the house. But selling the house was interesting, because we sold it in 2012, and that was a real estate market dip, and it was it was not an easy sell, and we had to really, our realtor had to really filter people. Were they just, you know, there's voyeurs, or were they seriously interested and qualified to buy the house? So it was not a slam dunk process, I will say that.
Did you get a lot of that of people just making fake? Let me see what the house is.
Oh, I'm sure we did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not sure the extent, but I'm sure we did.
Yeah, it's like Jordan's house. I don't even know how they marketed that, and they finally got a buyer. But you know, it was on the market in Highland Park for all those years, and I'm thinking, how many people actually went to tour
Well, that
that?
was a very unique home, and actually, I took a photographic tour at one time because we had a contractor there at the Home Alone house who had just been to Jordan's house, and he's showing me the video of the whole thing. But Jordan would be pleased with the Home Alone house now. It has an indoor basketball court, so
Oh, that is cool.
he'd be happy with that, you know. I've been there several times, by the way. I know the new owner quite well. I mean, we've become good friends, and taken a total tour of the place, and we've done some press gigs there.
You play horse with him?
Guy. I'm sorry?
You play horse with him?
No.
So
He's a
Evans,
very nice guy, and he's really into the Home Alone vibe. He knows what he's getting into here. So
You said you lived in the house while the filming was going. What was it like with the cast, and did you get close with the cast or stayed pretty much away from them?
yeah, good question, Skoo. And yes, they become almost like family, seriously. And you know, an observation I make in the book is that when you get to know, you know, so-called Hollywood people up close and personal, they are so much like the rest of us. And here are people, they're away from home, they're away from family. They've got the same kind of, you know, challenges and anxieties we all do. You know, yeah, they're doing well, but they're worried about the next gig, and they want to be home at times. And so a lot of them just between the shoots would just come over to the house and hang out. And I never had any issue chatting them up. They seemed eager to talk, and you know, they seemed to want to. They didn't want to talk about movies. They just, you know, just personal chats. And I will say this, to a person, with no exception, we had just the, you know, fondest memories of each and every person on the cast and crew. John Hughes, Chris Columbus, and all the characters. I mean, little Macaulay Culkin was only 9 years old at the time, and but he was a very sharp little kid, and just, you know, offset. He was just like any other kid, scampering around the house. That's little brother Kieran, you know, was 7 at the time, and he and my daughter were about the same age, and so they were playmates. And now when I see Kieran, like on Saturday Night Live or in Succession or his recent movie Royal Pain, I think, how can that be? I mean, I cannot connect that character to the little kid that was in our house. But no, Catherine O'Hare was the real mom offset too, and kind of took my daughter under her wings, and they became very close. And no, nice people. Totally.
How is Joe Pesci? He's one of my favorite actors.
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, how is he?
Joe was a different vibe. Joe is all business, and even, you know, off camera, you know, he was pretty formal. I didn't really get to know him quite that well for that reason, and he didn't spend much time hanging around the house. In fact, it was a pretty mild winter, and whenever he could, he'd get to the greens and practice his golf swing. I mean, the guy was really into that. I did have kind of a very memorable encounter with Joe one night. I always kept a case of beer in the fridge for after the shoots, and for me too, of course. But Joe and I were converging on the fridge at the same time one night, and there was just one can of beer left. So we had a little standoff as to who most deserved to have that last can of beer. But being the gracious host, you know, Joe got it. But no, nice guy. And in the small world happenstance, I happened to meet his next door neighbor on the Jersey Shore some years later, and he said that, yeah, Joe's a great guy and great family, and so yeah.
That is so cool. Wait. So you moved to the Jersey Shore, and can you say that again?
No, I just happened to meet someone in my business
okay.
who lived next door neighbor of Pesci. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I was gonna say he was probably running down to Bridgeport in between shots, so that's why he wasn't around too much.
Probably, but I will say this about Joe. He was a very disciplined method actor, and off camera, he was very standoffish with little Macaulay. And someone told me that the reason he was doing that is that he didn't want Macaulay to have the good old Uncle Joe vibe. He wanted Macaulay to be actually edgy around him as a stranger,
Yeah, because he had Uncle Mike vibe.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that was Joe. He was an actor all the way, and very much into it. Yeah.
So Evanston, Winnetka, now Lake Forest. What did you see in Evanston? What did you see in Winnetka? What are you seeing in Lake Forest? They're all beautiful cities, of course, that being said, but
Yeah.
different vibes in each. How long have you been in Lake Forest? Tell me about the journey there, John.
Okay, a little bit of history. I moved to the city of Chicago from New York, where my wife and I lived in Manhattan, and then the city of Chicago, near north, and then with family on the way to Evanston, and then on to Winnetka and Lake Forest. So I feel like I've done kind of a time course sample of the North Shore, and I love the North Shore. Okay, I think, and I've had the privilege of, I've lived New York, Seattle, Texas, started my childhood in Kansas and Missouri, so I've gotten a flavor of the country, and I think the North Shore is frankly just the most delightful place on the planet to live in, and there's such a nice cohesiveness to it and vibe, and I have friends up and down the North Shore. But Evanston and Winnetka and Lake Forest are three very different cultures, if you will. Evanston is, a lot of academic, of course, but in my neighborhood, mostly business. We lived in the same neighborhood as some fairly prominent business people. And we might have stayed there, actually, except when our daughter was about to start school, they instituted the busing program. And I firmly believe that in grade school, kindergarten, that's a neighborhood thing. I want my child to be able to literally almost walk to school. And so that's when we decided to move on up to Winnetka. We enjoyed Evanston. And by the way, I have a claim to fame. I don't want to bore you guys, but I have a claim to fame that actually surpasses my Home Alone story, okay? I am a co-founder and charter member of the Lawndale Lawn Mowing and Mulching Society Precision Drill Lawnmower Team, okay? I mean, that's, little did you know, okay? That's my claim to fame. If
You
you've
compete
ever
with
watched
Lake
the
Bluff
4th of July
lawnmowers?
parade.
Yeah, Lake Bluff's calling BS, John.
Yeah, well, okay, truth be known here, we ripped it off of Lake Bluff, okay? But this was my across the street neighbor, Bill Geist, who was a journalist and later on went on to New York Times and then became a CBS celebrity with Sunday morning, CBS Sunday morning shows. But Bill was into this whole suburban shtick, and he decided that his wife grew up in Lake Bluff, so that's where he got the idea. But he and I started that whole shtick back in I think it was 19, I'm going to say 79, 1980. And, little Willie Geist that some of you may see on MSNBC. Little Willie was born while we were there living across the street. But anyway, that's, I'm not sure how I got onto this, but, Winnetka, I describe Winnetka as attorneys and consultants, okay? And I was in that category, so I'm not being critical, but it's a different culture. And I'm going to say more formal and, maybe just a different vibe than Lake Forest. Lake Forest, and I've been here since 2012, what I love about Lake Forest, and my wife, current wife, now feels very much the same way, is that there's a good mix of people in terms of their backgrounds. We have attorneys and we have, consultants, advisors, but we have a lot of senior executives in various companies, and it's just, to me, it's a little bit different culture, different perspective. And my wife, is privileged to, she's a therapist and is a clinical supervisor of the Inspire Clinic here locally, and so she gets a good flavor of Lake Foresters and a lot of backstories, as you might imagine. But we really love it here.
Well, you're a movie guy. I mean, if you go to that Christmas tree lighting, tell me that's not Hallmark Channel all over the place. You're going to be a diabetic after that thing. It's so sweet. Isn't that a great scene?
Oh, that's right. It's absolutely.
But we got to get a movie done in Lake Forest again. We are the restrictions too much now coming into Illinois versus other places? So I know it's gone back and forth the way they tax them. I'm sure you know more than I do on that. What do you think is going on?
Honestly, I don't. I'm not up to date with that. I do know that we've had a substantial gap in years since there's been a major film in this neighborhood, and I really don't know. It maybe was just a trendy thing in the 80s and 90s. I don't know, but you're right. We have not had a lot of Hollywood in the neighborhood lately.
I think those John Hughes. I mean, they still film a lot on the highway to nowhere up in Waukegan. I mean, they use that Amherst Expressway.
Do they?
But yeah, I mean, look at Adam Sandler. The way movies are now. These guys, they all get their boys and they keep making movies over and over together. And it's just who's hot in Hollywood. Yeah. John Hughes was huge back then, and they were all connected. And the SNL guys, a lot of them were from Chicago and stuff like that. So I think times have just changed, but it is so cool that piece of history was, part of my childhood, watching all these cool movies and, seeing all these things. So that is really interesting.
I got to imagine too that with technology and all that, you don't get movies made on location like Home Alone was and that type of stuff.
That's a good point. And Skoo, I have a chapter in the book, basically, which is my perception of why this movie has become so popular and so durable in our culture. And I make a number of points that are really, firsthand observation points. I'm not a cinematic expert by any means. I don't present myself as such, but I'm a human being who loves the film. Okay, so why? And having witnessed it being produced, I've got a perspective that is perhaps a little unique. But one of the comments I make is that this movie predated CGI, computer-generated imaging. And they had it back then, but it was very primitive, and the studio couldn't afford it anyway on their Grinch-like budget. So the observation I make is that the stunts in the scenes were actually very crude. And I've got a chapter on crazy stunts that didn't go as planned. I mean, there was just some of them were scary to watch, and in terms of people's hazards to their safety. But they did. But be that as it may, I think that the crudeness of the technology and that the stunts are quite obviously just kind of make do, kind of homemade variety, adds a vibe to the movie. It's almost like the movie is making a self-parody. It's almost like it's making fun of itself with some of those stunts. And I think it draws the audience in. They feel like they're part of the conspiracy. And so, and I actually, in my book, I reflect on, well, with this movie, what would it be like if it were made today? And I point out that with technology and CGI, I think I'd just be watching the film as opposed to feeling like I'm really into it, And who knows? I mean, I just offer that.
Well, I got to imagine. I mean, one of my favorite parts of movies now is the outtakes. I mean, some of those through movies, outtakes, or not outtakes, but
bloopers, whatever.
Bloopers and all that. I just belly laugh, and I can just imagine what those would have been like with all the stunts that were done in that movie.
Yeah.
Some of the outtakes there must have been just crazy funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Well, you got to read the book, Skoo, to find out the rest of them, because John
that's
is
right.
he's tight-lipped.
Yeah, we
So,
have.
John, tell us
we,
about the book. When's it coming out? I know you can get it in Amazon.
Okay. The book, the
Pre-order.
title again is Home But Alone No More. You got to get the word "but" in there. Home But Alone No More. We've got a website you can look up. It's on Instagram. We've been all over the place on TikTok and you name it. I've got a marketing gal that is nonstop. The book release date is September 12th. Okay. But you can pre-order now, and Amazon will say they will deliver by September 12th. So
where are you doing the book signing?
We're still in the process of lining that up, but obviously, would want to do Lake Forest and the book stall
Hint.
down in Winnetka. And my marketing person is getting inquiries from all over the metropolitan area. I got an inquiry over the weekend from a very prestigious country club near Washington, D.C., wanting me to come there and do it.
Wow.
So
I'm hinting at the place in Lake Forest that's right around in our hood.
Yeah.
Mr.
It
Urso?
has golf simulators.
I'm just checking out his TikTok page right now, so I'm all over it. So I just started following you.
Open those garage doors up and have a book signing.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to do it, and I love meeting Home Alone fans. They're really pretty nice people, so looking forward to doing that.
Jeff, you can get a bunch of kids in the neighborhood to dress up like Macaulay and come out and.
So my kids have been watching. So I got 19, 12, and 9, and like the 9-year-old, he'll watch Home Alone 3 or 4, and I'm like,
I know
it's trash compared to the 1 and 2. I mean, I loved 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
After that, I don't know what happened, but my 9-year-old, he watches it, and he plays hockey right at he'll go to that Winnetka ice rink, and we pass the house all the time every time we go to Winnetka, and it is so cool. So I think I'm going to show him and be like, hey, I know the guy that owns that.
Well, we'll be getting some things lined up, and if you guys have any ideas, I certainly welcome that. I know the Gorton Center shows the film every every Christmas season, and I'm personally acquainted with the lady who does the marketing for them, so we'll be in touch, and so we'll get the word out, and I'll be pleased to do signings. I mean, I'm at a point in my career where I'm officially retired now, so that gave me the time to write the book and get into this, and so all fun stuff.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write that book, John? Just curious.
AI.
It took close to 2 years from the time I started, but I was still in a work mode for part of that. But it takes a while to put these things together. And
we're going to let you go, but Jeff brought up AI. I was just wondering, and you brought up AI earlier. Do you see a future where we're not going to see real actors? We're just going to be watching lifelike Pixar type movies, John?
I think it's going to be a factor, definitely. And I know people in the profession are quite concerned about it. In fact, there was a strike about 18 months ago, where they were, and that's, I was wondering about the sanity of the strike. To me, that's going to accelerate things, not, but no, I think we're entering a new world with this, and I would not be the one to predict exactly just where.
What about as an author though? Like, what if, I mean, in AI you put in your bullet points and then it writes a book for you? Doesn't that devalue like the true authors like yourself out there? Do you think like that's the future of AI? I
think, I'll tell you this, true confession, all authors I would suspect today are using AI. I use it for just the basic editing, grammar, syntax, and so forth. But I will also, throw in an idea or phrase and look for alternative styles, ways of expressing that. And, it's a help in that regard. I mean, I truly feel that I own my text. I mean, it is me. On the other hand, there are certain passages where I feel like AI kind of, toned them up a little bit in terms of connectivity to the readers. And so, it's just part of our lives. Absolutely.
Well, John, thanks for hanging out with us here at the online
cool
pub.
story. Thank you for sharing. I didn't know any of that, so that was awesome. It was a pleasure to meet you today.
Well, thank you. I feel privileged to be on with you guys, and I'm sure we'll probably have a chance to meet in person. And Skoo,
Oh, yeah, we got it.
Skoo, I run into him and his pooches all the time. So
John's in the hood.
Yeah, right.
John, quick question: Do you pick up your dog poop?
No.
He doesn't have a dog.
You have to ruin everything, Pete.
That's above my pay. That's above
But
my
we can't
pay
have
grade.
anything
I don't
nice.
do that. No.
Yeah.
Thanks.
John, we'll let you go, but just any suggestions what we can do to tell people out there to pick up their full bags of dog poop? Just curious.
I mean, I'm sorry, to do what?
Never mind.
Don't pay attention to him.
All right.
This
John, this is one of those B-roll outtake moments, guys.
Yeah, there you
We'll
go.
edit this out in post. John, thanks so much for hanging out with us,
Thanks,
guys.
John.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
boys.
guys.
Take care.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
A lot of fun.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit laracycpa.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.